Welcome back to Inside Games, the only gaming news show brave enough to show a little skin to get the people watching.
We know what they want, Bruce, and hey, it's not even clickbait either. So here it is, a little skin.
Wow, hold on a minute. That's not at all what anybody had in mind. Shooklyn, you just sex that skin up a little bit, just sex it up.
2 seconds later.
Actually, no, that's an abomination. It looks terrible.
Sorry, that didn't really go anywhere we wanted it to. Let's just cover that up, huh? There we go.
There, we're ready for church is what Lawrence wrote. I love that. On the topic of covering up the dangly bits, hey, good news! Bayonetta 3 will also be church appropriate when it finally launches on Nintendo Switch on October 28th.
It has been a minute though. Jeez, it's been nearly 5 years since Platinum and Nintendo announced this game back in December 2017 at the Game Awards. Platinum Games used the time innovating radical new features though, clearly, like the ability to have titular protagonist Bayonetta actually wear more clothes.
I also love that you called her titular protagonist. Way to go. Nice job. It's a video game first. In case you're unaware, in Bayonetta, you play as Bayonetta, a witch that uses her body hair as a conduit to summon demons in combat. She's not wearing a leather bodysuit either. That's just her hair. The gimmick is the more combos and summons you do, the more hair you use, the more naked Bayonetta becomes. It's genius, and also I can't believe Nintendo allows it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, they're publishing it. It's awesome. As announced on Twitter, Bayonetta 3 will offer the Naive Angel mode that keeps Bayonetta's body hair on her body where Jesus intended it to be. The tweet tells presumably horny gamers to relax and that the witch is back and sexier than ever, just in case anyone was worried their video game boobs were going to disappear entirely.
We always were. I say this a lot. Porn is free. Porn is free. You can get it anywhere. And in one of those humanity restoring moments, virtually everybody is actually celebrating the why not both approach. It's pretty amazing. If you dig hard enough, you can find folks that feel like it's a tonal misstep for the character. And of course, there's always one edgelord insisting censorship is bad, even if it's optional. That doesn't even make any sense. By and large, everybody agrees though. This is a really great setting for those, hey, are you winning, son moments? Like when your dad comes in and you're like, whoa,
it's not like this, I promise. This is one of those moments where it seems more people are talking about other people being mad than there are actually people being mad, which is really nice to see for a change. But still, this does seem part of a greater trend away from maybe more pandering sexuality in games. Bruce, does this mean games in general are just getting less sexy?
How dare you? Don't ever ask that question.
I shouldn't even say it, you're right. I want to give anyone ideas.
That's against my religion. By our perception, video games are actually included in the mass media's movement away from the male gaze in entertainment, which by the way, I think is a great idea, or the presumption that entertainment is made for heterosexual men. That's the male gaze. It's kind of pretty topical considering that Bayonetta gets more naked as she fights.
Bayonetta's a fun example though, because she does, but then also the camera tends to pull out because you're doing these big moves, so the nakeder she gets, sometimes the further away the camera gets. Now, there are some pretty suggestive camera swoops in there too, but I think weirdly, Bayonetta is actually a pretty tasteful example of a game that is sexual, but not necessarily ridden with the male gaze. Still very topical to what we're talking about here, though. I just wanted to make that little disclaimer, put some points on the board for Bayonetta.
There are actually a number of examples showing just how much gaming has changed in the last 10 years or so, especially in their depiction of women. Case in point, BioWare took the ass out of the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. They totally did. Substituting gratuitous ass shots for slightly more sexually neutral camera angles, like normal camera angles, which is good. This cultural shift crystallizes whenever somebody decides to fix more modern character design, such as the fan redesign of Horizon's Aloy, giving her smooth skin, makeup, perfect brows, and a crowd-pleasing smile.
The only company to explicitly address the subject was Sony, weirdly, who explicitly said they would be more closely policing sexual content on the PlayStation platform in April 2019. At the time, Sony cited the Me Too movement in addition to streaming sites that could expose some more, let's say, niche Japanese titles to viewers in the United States that could make them a, quote, target of legal and social action.
We imagine that specific policy was more about some super gnarly Japanese visual novels and how American audiences might react to them, rather than the character designs in AAA games. But still, God of War 2018 did not have that threesome minigame So the SJWs just, they killed video games, Lawrence. We didn't get that threesome in God of War.
It was so important to the artistic vision of God of War 2.
I mean, to be fair.
Yeah, for though God of War actually did kind of line up.
Well, and also to be double fair, Ragnarok's probably not going to have that whole threesome thing either.
The SJWs, we can't stop taking, Bruce. How much more do I have to give? I mean, no, instead, rather than a threesome minigame, God of War had a really touching story about fatherhood and seeing your past mistakes reflected back through a future generation. Like actual adult storytelling with interesting themes and values, which when you compare it to like just a silly fucking minigame, boy, does that really bring the whole issue of sexuality in games into sharp focus, I think.
Yeah, it really does. I'm actually glad that they dedicated their time to telling a great story rather than the threesome minigame. I take that trade any day.
Bruce, in God of War 3, you bang a chick so hard the 2 other girls watching have to les out on the spot. That's how rad it is.
Damn, that's great too, though. Fuck! AAA games used to cater to that 17-year-old male, meaning just Lawrence and I, or the 17-year-old males at heart. If that was you, me, Lawrence, any of us, it was great. I mean, it really was. Yeah, we loved it. You might remember that era fondly, but it also led to Melina's design in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Now AAA games are a mass market because they actually cater to everyone instead of taking their character designs from the strip club.
And if you want to get your rocks off to a video game or anything, again, porn is free, like Bruce said. But in video games, it is our perspective that sexuality in games is actually more accessible than ever before, at least in the United States. I know that different countries handle that topic a little differently. Man, you can't throw a stick down the Steam new release chart without hitting something horny a couple ranks down.
Absolutely. You seen Orc Massage there, Lawrence?
Games are still horny. That much is clear. They're just a little more tasteful about it. I don't know. After seeing Orc Massage, it's hard to say that. But in AAA and like the mass market stuff, a little more taste is injected. I think Lady Domitrescu is a really good example. She might not be wearing anything from like Fredericks of Hollywood, but you do get to smell her feet, and her feet are probably really big. Smells like diversity.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Bayonetta 3's simple approach might be the most modern yet. A game that retains its sexuality, but gives you the option to just turn it off to avoid some uncomfortable questions when grandma comes over. Or to be fair, it's like one of those things just like if you're like, oh, I would never play a video game with nudity in it, then just turn it off. It's pretty easy. And the sexiness at the core of this, Bayonetta 3, is published by Nintendo, a company that once cultivated a family-friendly image so hard in 1993 that Nintendo of America chairman Howard Lincoln swore the dorky FMV game Night Trap would never appear on a Nintendo system.
Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system.
A few decades later, and not only is Nintendo selling Night Trap, but plenty of other games that contain full nudity and sexual content, not to mention a game about a stripping witch.
For the folks who that even may make them uncomfortable, now they can just play the game in peace. Okay, so it took 5 years, almost 5 years to come out, right? From announcement, not even from when they probably started working on it. Here's the trolley comment. If they didn't include Naive Angel mode, maybe the game would have come out already.
Oh, stop it. How much dev could that have been? 3 months, maybe?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's out there arguing that, but it does make me wonder, you know, features cost time. And the game took an awfully long time to come out, but maybe we'll see just an explosion of content or something. I'm curious to see the final package because I'd like to know, because Platinum Games usually flips games so fast. That's the other thing.
Yeah. One final note, by the way, speaking of a big package, Nintendo has a really good holiday season coming up. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Splatoon 3, Bayonetta 3, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and that's all without Breath of the Wild. That's crazy.
It almost makes sense. If they were looking at maybe trying to get Breath of the Wild out this holiday, they looked at their release calendar and they were like, nah, we're covered. We're good. We don't need it. Take your time. Yeah, on Breath of the Wild, I was kind of surprised they didn't insist it was going to come out before March, because that's when their fiscal ends, I'm pretty sure. But this could also be why, is that it turns out that they had 3-4 other AAA games on deck ready to release for the Switch. So, nice moves.
Here's some patrons that only crank it to the tasteful video game smut level on the knob. They're tasteful. Stephen Winston, Pitstrip, Joshua Smith, Samuel Fisher, and Loveless.
I've got some patrons that are my special naive angels. Aiden Foley, Guthrie Leith, Kyle Ellis, Worthlessness, and Scotty Ryan. Thank you all very much.
Man, I don't ever want to be Lawrence's naive angel, let me tell you.
I love those guys. I can tell them anything.